In Los Angeles, Mike meticulously cleans himself, then picks up his gun and gets into his car. After this, he turns on a tracker that allows him to track Masood's vehicle. Mike follows him all over the city. After a while, he sees a tunnel. He quickly drives ahead and parks his car in the middle of the road, completely blocking the path. Forced to stop, Masood halts behind Mike's car. Mike then puts on a mask and opens his car's trunk. Moments later, Masood gets out and walks toward him, but Mike immediately points his gun at him. He checks Masood's pockets and then forcibly locks him inside the trunk. Mike then asks him for his phone's password. Before closing the trunk, he says, "There's water inside. Drink it if you want to stay alive." He then closes the trunk. After this, Mike removes the tracker he had planted in Masood's car months ago. He also steals his phone and drives away. Elsewhere, cousins Ben and Ali are preparing their guns. They enter a jewelry shop where the owner, Sammy, hands them a briefcase full of diamonds. As they are about to leave, Sammy calls Ben into his office. He quietly says, "The diamonds in the suitcase are fake." He then shows him the real diamonds worth a full $3 million. Sammy tells Ben to hide them in his socks. At that moment, Mike parks his car in front of the shop. Using Masood's phone, he sends a message to Sammy, "I am ready." After a while, Ben and Ali come out. Before they leave, Sammy checks their guns. He doesn't like Ali's gun, so he gives him a new one. The two cousins then get into their car and drive off, and Mike quietly follows them, aiming to disguise himself as Masood. They eventually reach a parking lot. Mike again puts on his mask and deliberately parks his car very close to theirs, breaking their side mirror. Ben and Ali angrily get out, but Mike points his gun at them. He then shows them his phone, which is playing a live video of Ben's house. It is a clear threat that if they try anything, their families will be harmed. Frightened, both men put their guns and phones into Mike's car. Mike then gets out, places the gun on Ben's head and says, "I want the real diamonds, because I know the ones in the suitcase are fake." Ben first tries to play innocent, but when Mike threatens him by mentioning his wife's name, Ben gets scared and hands over the real diamonds hidden in his socks. Once he has the diamonds, Mike walks toward his car to release Masood from the trunk. But just then, Ali secretly pulls out his second gun. When Mike returns to the car, he hands them back their phones. At that moment, Ali points his gun at Mike. His hand trembles with fear. He fires, but misses. The bullet hits the car window instead of Mike. Seeing this, Mike panics badly. He immediately speeds away. The entire city trembles as his car races at high speed. He narrowly avoids several accidents, even rear-ending another car, but he doesn't stop. Eventually, he reaches a parking lot. There, he takes a few deep breaths to calm himself. He then removes his contact lenses so his face won't be recognized. After this, he covers up that car and drives away in another vehicle. Meanwhile, Sharon arrives at Steven's lavish mansion to sell him an insurance policy. Steven proudly shows off his security system. Then he suddenly pulls out a gun and takes Sharon to the window. He points at a bottle in the distance and says, "Shoot it." Sharon has never fired a gun in her life. She nervously pulls the trigger but misses. They then sit at a table by the pool to discuss the policy. Sharon notices a young girl passing by. She assumes it's Steven's daughter, but Steven smiles and says, "She's my fiancée." The atmosphere becomes awkward. Sharon tries to include her in the conversation, but everyone feels uncomfortable. Back at the parking lot, detectives Lou and Tillman arrive to investigate the diamond robbery. They question Ben and Ali. They find it very suspicious that the robber had such inside information, but Ben repeatedly swears he had nothing to do with it. There was a camera on the nearby wall, but its connection had already been cut. Later, Lou tells Tillman, "I think this is the same robber. I've been chasing for months." He explains that every crime follows the same pattern. No violence, cameras are disabled in advance, he knows exactly what is being transported and when, and then he vanishes onto Route 101 within seconds. But Tillman doesn't fully trust his words. He mentions that the lieutenant asked him to choose a new partner, but he refused. Then he says seriously to Lou, "If you don't get yourself together, our careers will be ruined." When Mike returns home, he hides the diamonds inside a cup. Then he touches his head and realizes he is injured. The injury came from the broken window. He checks his mask and sees a blood stain, panicking because that means his blood could also be in the abandoned car. In the evening, Mike goes to meet a man named Money who sells stolen goods on the black market. Mike looks worried. He says the next job in Santa Barbara is very risky because there will be many civilians and he doesn't want anyone to get hurt. But Money coldly replies, "Then come up with a better plan." Before leaving, Mike secretly swaps his cup with Money's. As soon as Mike leaves, Money makes a special call. At a hotel, Mike hires a girl for the night, but his mind is far from calm. He feels constantly restless and frightened. Later, Mike returns home and immediately sits at his computer, researching employees of the insurance company. After looking through many profiles, his attention focuses specifically on Sharon's profile. The next day, a big meeting is held at the insurance company regarding the stolen diamonds. It is decided that Sharon will be the one to talk to the police. This irritates Sharon inwardly, as a big client like Steven has been assigned to another employee. At the police station, detectives Lou and Tillman are interrogating Sammy. Sammy angrily says that the police are treating him like he's involved in fraud, when he never gave any information about the diamonds to anyone. Then he suddenly realizes that all the information was only in emails. He understands that someone hacked his entire system. Meanwhile, at a small diner, Mike is paying a hacker. He wants the hacker to extract all information from Sharon's social media accounts, emails, calendar, and phone messages. On the other side, Orman rides his bike at high speed to a parking lot where Money is waiting for him. Money tells him that Mike is now scared and won't do the next job in Santa Barbara, so Orman will have to pull off the robbery himself. That night, Mike is driving peacefully when another car rear-ends him. Maya gets out and asks for his insurance information. Mike wants to settle the matter with cash, but Maya refuses because the car belongs to her boss and everything has to be done officially. Forced, Mike exchanges his information with hers. The next day, Sharon meets Detective Lou. She says the insurance company wants Sammy and the two cousins to take polygraph tests. Lou understands that the company is trying to avoid paying the claim. He starts cursing insurance companies, but Sharon also doesn't back down and mocks the corrupt police system. They start arguing. Sharon then says that all the statistics show the robbery was done by an insider. This gives Lou a new theory, and he immediately leaves. Back at the police station, Lou calls a team meeting. He puts up a large map of 219 robberies from the past 4 years and starts removing those that involved violence, left DNA, had a low amount, or didn't use armored transport. The cases that remain form a clear pattern around Highway 101. Lou explains that the criminal hacks jewelers' communications to know exactly when and where diamonds will be transported. He is now certain that the next robbery will occur to the north. But after the meeting, the lieutenant refuses to support his theory. For the department, their clearance rate and good numbers are more important than the truth. Elsewhere, Orman stops his bike outside a bank and watches a man get into his car with a suitcase. Later, that same man arrives at a jewelry store in Santa Barbara. Suddenly, Orman enters with a gun, pushes the man inside, and tries to snatch the suitcase, but he discovers it's handcuffed to the man's wrist. Orman orders everyone to lie down and checks the back office, where he only finds a small child. Angrily, he shoots a female employee and points the gun at the man's head, demanding the key. Frightened, the man says the key is in his car, but there is no car outside. Finally, he admits the key is hanging from his neck. Once the handcuff is opened, Orman takes the suitcase, but his eyes fall on the other expensive jewelry in the store. Greedy, he grabs a female employee by her hair, forces her to open the cabinets, and fills his bag with all the jewelry. Then he orders everyone to lie down and tries to run out, but the door is locked. He has to go back and press a button, but the door closes again. Enraged, he shoots at a glass cabinet to scare someone into pressing the button. Finally, an alarm goes off, a man presses the button, and Orman escapes. Meanwhile, Mike texts Maya and asks her out. In the evening, they meet at a very expensive restaurant. Mike claims to be a software developer who travels for work. Maya admits she doesn't feel comfortable in such luxurious places. Mike smiles and says he brought her there because it's a famous dating spot. Later, they leave the restaurant and eat simple street food. Slowly, they open up to each other and grow closer, despite coming from different worlds. At the end of the date, Maya agrees to see him again. But as soon as she leaves, Mike sees news of Orman's robbery on TV and realizes things are becoming more dangerous. Meanwhile, at a diner, Lou is talking to his wife. She confesses that she has been cheating on him. Just then, Tillman calls, but Lou ignores it, trying to save his marriage. His wife says she will leave the house, but Lou angrily replies that he will be the one to leave. They have a heated argument, and finally, Lou storms off. After this, Lou and his team arrive at the jewelry store where the recent robbery occurred. Tillman tells him that this robbery also fits his theory because the store was on the north side, but Lou immediately says it can't be the same robber because the real robber never used violence. What happened here was too messy and violent. Elsewhere, Mike goes to meet Money. He angrily asks why Money used all the information he had gathered over months, but sent someone else to do the robbery. Mike feels that Money broke his trust. He clearly warns that if it happens again, he will never work with him. Money also gets angry and reminds Mike that without him, Mike was nothing. But Mike walks away without listening. Meanwhile, at the insurance company, Sharon watches Sammy's polygraph test. Sammy is furious that people think he is a liar and a fraud. He insults Sharon and her entire company. Later, Money tells Orman that Mike is surely planning something new, so Orman doesn't need to do the robbery himself anymore. He wants Mike to do the robbery, and then Orman will rob him. In the afternoon, Orman follows Mike and sees him meeting the hacker. The hacker says all the information is stored encrypted on a simple website. He then gives Mike a small note with instructions on how to access the data. As soon as Mike leaves, Orman checks his phone and realizes he secretly planted a tracker in Mike's car. At home, Mike reads through all of Sharon's information, including her entire calendar. The next day, he follows her to a restaurant. When Sharon is about to leave, Mike casually starts talking to her, pretending to be a regular customer. They talk about cars, and the conversation becomes comfortable. At the police station, Lou and Tillman watch footage of old robberies. After much analysis, Lou concludes that the robber changed cars every time. So now he wants to search parking lots in the entire area. In the evening, Maya comes to Mike's house for their second date. She notices there are no personal items in the house, not even a single family photo. Mike quietly says he has no contact with his family. He also says he grew up in poverty, so he never got into the habit of collecting things. To lighten the mood, Maya puts on music and convinces Mike to dance with her. Slowly, they grow closer, and the relationship progresses to kissing and intimacy. Later, when Maya starts getting dressed to leave, Mike convinces her to stay. The next night, Mike steps out onto the balcony for fresh air. He sees a light in the distance and realizes Orman is nearby. As soon as he sees Orman riding away on his bike, he runs down to check his car. After carefully inspecting the entire car, he finally finds the tracker. He immediately removes it and throws it away, then calls to rent a new place without delay. The next morning, Orman disguises himself as a delivery boy and goes to the hacker's apartment. As soon as the door opens, he rushes in and violently throws the hacker around the room. He sits on him, shoves the gun into his mouth, and asks, "What were you doing for Mike?" Meanwhile, Lou is still searching parking lots. Finally, he notices a covered car. He goes inside, checks the car, and finds pieces of broken glass. Soon, the forensic team arrives and begins a thorough investigation. They find a tiny drop of blood. Later, Mike arrives at an art gallery because he knows Sharon will be there. He acts as if the meeting is just a coincidence. Sharon recognizes him from the restaurant, and they start talking. Slowly, they share a drink. Sharon talks about her job and says it has taught her to read people. Hearing this, Mike smiles and says, "Then read me." Sharon looks at him for a while and then says he is a man with many secrets. He wants everything perfect. He has more money and free time than he needs, but he wasn't born into a wealthy family. Mike becomes uncomfortable. He quickly changes the subject and admits their meeting was no coincidence. Then he starts listing facts about Sharon that he secretly learned, even mentioning that she has worked at the same company for 11 years without a promotion. After this, Mike finally reveals his true game to Sharon. He explains that he partners with people who can give him inside information so he can perfectly plan his robberies, but he always makes sure no one gets hurt and no evidence is left behind. Sharon gets angry, thinking theft is an easy way out instead of working hard, but Mike quickly counters that her insurance company's shareholders aren't honest people either. Still, Sharon decides to leave. As she walks away, Mike tells her that if she changes her mind, she should just post a photo of a beach on Instagram. After Sharon leaves, Mike notices Orman standing outside the bar. He immediately runs to his car and starts chasing him. A dangerous car chase begins on the city streets. Both cars race like mad. Sharp turns, risky cuts, and nearby cars bring them close to accidents multiple times. Suddenly, a bus comes between them, forcing Mike to stop. But as soon as the bus moves, he sees Orman still ahead. They stare at each other for a few seconds, and then the chase resumes. Orman keeps using clever tricks to stay ahead. Eventually, he causes another car to crash, but Mike reacts quickly and narrowly avoids disaster, continuing the chase. The situation becomes more difficult as they reach a very crowded street. Orman looks back to see if Mike is still following him, but at that moment, his bike hits a car and he falls onto the road. Mike sees him get up and walk and follows him into a store. Inside, Orman is casually having a drink as if nothing happened. He tries to act innocent, but Mike is furious. He grabs him, shoves him against a fridge, and screams for answers. Even when Orman bites his hand, Mike doesn't let go. Finally, Orman pulls a gun, threatens him, and admits he was sent by money. Hearing this, Mike says in a cold, dangerous voice, "If you two ever show up again, you won't leave alive." The next day, Sharon learns that Detective Lou has joined her yoga class. They talk calmly for a while, but then Lou gets a call from the police station. He is told that some suspicious vehicles have been spotted outside a jewelry store. Lou immediately heads to the crime scene. There, he sees another detective has already shot a fleeing robber. When the robber's mask is removed, a teenager is revealed. Lou inspects the area. The other detective checks the boy and says he had a gun. Lou looks again and indeed sees a gun in his hand, but he is certain there was no gun there before. At the police station, Lou tells the lieutenant everything. The lieutenant is not happy because he wants to protect his own man. Then he reveals that Tillman has also agreed to lie. After this, the lieutenant announces that all 3 detectives are suspended until the investigation is complete. As Lou packs his things, he receives the DNA test report from the car. A match has been found in the system. Mike's real name is James. He grew up in foster care and has a long record of juvenile crimes. Meanwhile, at the insurance company, Sharon is very upset because the deal with Steven was finalized by another employee. After the meeting, her boss tells her that she won't be getting a promotion this year either. He repeats the same old line, "Maybe next time." Now, Sharon's anger explodes. She reminds him that she has been hearing that same lie for years. She even threatens to take her clients and leave for another company. But her boss mocks her, saying, "No rich man will leave for a 53-year-old woman." Hearing this, Sharon breaks down. She goes to the beach in anger and sadness and posts a photo of it on Instagram. Mike immediately gets the alert and goes to pick her up. Sharon tells him that a courier is coming to Steven's wedding, carrying expensive watches and gems as wedding favors. Since Steven pays for everything in cash, there will also be a large amount of cash there. In total, they could steal about $1 million, and Sharon clearly says she wants $300,000 of it. Mike realizes this is very dangerous. He says he needs some time to think. That night, Lou goes to the last address listed in Mike's file. There, he meets Anne. But Anne doesn't understand why anyone would be looking for James. Later, Mike receives a voicemail from Anne. She says they need to talk. Mike immediately calls her back, but as soon as Anne hands the phone to Lou, Mike hangs up without saying a word. After this, Mike suddenly gets into Sharon's car and says he is ready for the heist. He gives Sharon a disposable phone and strictly instructs her to destroy the SIM card after every call. The next day, Mike goes to the wedding hotel and carefully surveys the security, guards, and entry points. Meanwhile, Sharon breaks into the company's system and extracts all the confidential information about Steven's wedding. Later, at home, she breaks the used SIM card and throws it in the trash. But as soon as she returns to her apartment, Orman attacks her. He knocks her down, hits her several times, and threatens in a terrifying voice, "If you don't tell me what you're doing with Mike, it will be worse." The next day, Sharon doesn't attend her yoga class but stays until it ends to show Lou her bruises. They talk secretly in the parking lot, and Sharon tells him the whole truth. She admits that Orman threatened her to get information about Mike. Lou says he can't promise to keep her out of jail, but he advises her to stay at his house for her safety. Meanwhile, Orman arrives at the hotel and starts following an employee, while Lou returns to the police station to review evidence from the diamond robbery case. There, he finds the bag of fake diamonds. At the same time, Mike is at a restaurant with Maya. He tells her that he may have to leave town for work, but he wants Maya to wait for him. Maya doesn't trust the work excuse. She gets angry and says she knows nothing about Mike. Mike feels insulted. He says that people who have always lived in comfort and money can never understand that sometimes you have to choose the wrong path to survive. But Maya isn't convinced and walks away. The next day, Sharon goes to work as usual, but her full attention is on the courier flight on her phone. She sees a coworker laughing at their boss's cheap jokes. Her anger finally explodes. She storms into the office and shouts that all these bosses make nothing but false promises. They only want young girls to keep rich, dirty old clients happy. After giving her boss a piece of her mind, Sharon walks out with her head held high. Meanwhile, Mike is waiting in a parking lot near the airport. He grabs the security guard who was hired for the delivery. Mike shows him a gun and a live feed of his home on his phone to scare him. Then he takes the guard's car and phone, disguises himself as the guard, and goes to pick up the delivery. Soon, the courier plane lands. The courier is given an urgent message, and Mike quickly goes to pick him up. But Mike doesn't know that Lou is now sitting in the courier's place. Throughout the journey, they try to make small talk, but the atmosphere is extremely tense. They keep looking at each other suspiciously. At the hotel, Orman puts on an employee uniform and prepares to enter the wedding suite with room service. When Mike and Lou arrive at the hotel, they go straight to Steven's room. As soon as the door closes, Mike pulls out his gun and orders everyone to their knees. Steven tries to stay quiet, but his terrified fiancée reveals that the cash is in the safe. Mike opens the safe and stuffs all the money into his bag. He then tells Lou to open the briefcase of jewelry. Lou opens it, but inside he finds the gun he had hidden earlier. He immediately points it at Mike and reveals that he is a policeman. They start threatening each other. Suddenly, Orman bursts into the room. He grabs Mike, takes his gun, and points it at Lou. Everyone starts shouting at each other. No one knows what to do. Finally, Orman loses his temper and shoots Steven. Then he tells Lou to slide the jewelry suitcase toward him, but Orman panics because a policeman has now seen his face. They start arguing. Suddenly, Orman falls to the ground and dies. Mike had picked up Lou's gun and shot him. After checking Orman's pulse, Lou quietly moves Mike's gun aside. He tells Mike to leave town and never come back. Lou promises to blame everything on Orman. After a moment, Mike puts down his gun and walks out of the room. The injured Steven shouts angrily at Lou for letting a thief escape, but Lou threatens him, saying that if he opens his mouth, he will charge him with tax evasion and illegal diamond smuggling. Steven's fiancée also scolds him, and finally, Steven is forced to stay quiet. Outside, police cars have surrounded the hotel, but Mike calmly walks away. On a bus, Lou reveals that he now has the real diamonds. He had left the fake ones in the suitcase. After this, he meets Sharon at her yoga class and gives her the diamonds so she can start a new life. In return, Sharon shows him a photo that Mike had specially sent for Lou. Meanwhile, Mike leaves town, far away. Sometime later, Lou goes to the place shown in the photo, where he finds Mike's old antique car waiting for him. The keys are inside. Now the car belongs to Lou. Elsewhere, Maya receives an envelope. Inside it is a photo of Mike as a child. On the back, Mike has written, "Forgive me, and I hope that one day we can meet again." So friends, I hope you liked this video. If you liked the video, then like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.